Hey everyone, welcome back. It's clearly winter around here. It's a balmy -10 degrees Celsius. Today we've got two goals. First one, can this finally start on its own? I'm going to show you what we quickly go over what we've done, and if it fails to start this time, what we're going to do again. The second goal is what will it do to this mountain? The mountain of snow that's fallen over the past couple of days. Let's see if we can get rid of that. I'm gonna run out of space to put it, so let's see if we can put it in the field. All right, let's set it up. Oh, and since we're pretty much on ice, yeah, we're definitely chaining it down. Let's go. Okay, okay. All right, we're chained up. Got our post that's 5 feet in the ground. Coming across, I mean, we're on ice, so we definitely want to chain it properly. I don't want to blast the old wall. There's not enough snow. This is the big hill. I want to see what happens. So the other end of the chain is on the back of the work van, which is full. If it starts sliding this way, we'll shut her down. But we're on the hitch over there. Then I've got a chain set up in line. Well, I guess it is kind of offset a little bit, but if it does shift, the back of the car will go this way a little bit, which is fine. I've also got wheel chocks, which who knows how effective they'll be. So I put the tractor in front. The blade is, the box is on the ground, in park, in gear, and the forks are sort of in the ground. So if the car does slide, we should have sufficient time to kill fuel, kill everything, and shut it down. Now we have to hook up the cart to this. Oh yeah, I was gonna go over what I've done. So what have we done since our failed to start issues? What did we do? So this is we'll go over in depth when we do our engine overview video, but this is the fuel manifold solenoid. So this opens up when it goes to start, and after it starts sequence, this shuts off, and we just it runs a smaller fuel manifold here. And once the engine's producing a sufficient amount of pressure, the main fuel line comes on. Our problem is that's not coming on. This is the overflow valve, which cycles during startup to keep the EGTs down. So I swapped both of them. As for the manual, as something to try for our issue. Still no success. There are 6 starting fuel atomizers all the way around the engine. I thought they sprayed a good pattern when I sent WD-40 and compressed air through, or shop air through it, but I didn't have a benchmark. So I, in desperation, got a ultrasonic cleaner, sent them through a number of times, and the spray is measurably 4 times better. There's more, it shoots out farther, it's a better sort of flow. A couple things, I didn't have the correct factory sealing washers for here, so they are just standard copper washers. The 6th, or the very bottom atomizer, is still partially clogged. I sent it through the ultrasonic cleaner probably 6 or 7 times, and I can't get, there's a screen inside, and it's partially blocked, and I can't get it free. So anyways, this is what our latest change is. We also added some gauges. I'll come to the other side here, so we can measure our pressures. So this here is just a 0 to 100, because this one kind of sort of starts at like 50 or 100 psi up in here. So they're teed in. I expect to see around, I don't know what I expect, but it's probably, I'm hoping it buries this needle and this will carry on. But I'm going to set up right here another camera so we can measure what's happening. This is the high pressure fuel gauge. So it's coming off the main running manifold. So once ignition is quit or stops, these will fall to 0, since that solenoid is going to close. We're also going to measure, we'll have our meter up here for our EGT, just so we can have a nice accurate measurement, and that's a good indication of a successful light or a hung start, or what's happening. So we'll have that going. Once it's lit, and if it lights and goes to idle, then we can remove that. It's obviously going to melt sitting right there, and then we can get ready to see that pile go away. So let's get the cart set up. We have our power wires. We gotta get our control box set up somewhere around here. Right now, she's just sitting in the car. Pressurize. Oh, I got to pressurize our new fuel tank, which we'll go over that in another video. Essentially, all we're doing is adding some compressed air for startup, and then the compressor discharge air from the engine actually keeps us pressurized to our preset. Pretty cool, very simple, very, very effective. So secure-ish. Alright, something I'm going to do before I pack up and everything is I'm going to take the top 3 starting atomizers off, point them up, we'll set a camera up, and see what kind of spray pattern we get. I would have expected to see mist coming out, like an atomized fuel, but it's just liquid. So I don't know if these atomizers are totally shot. They seem fine with 120 or 110 PSI of shop air, but I look back on the video, we're only getting 40 PSI, which I would kind of expect because we're only running off the starter. It's not even catching. So we'll see what the spray pattern looks like with the 3 of them going. The other 3 are going to be left in the motor. Igniter's going to be off. But we're going to crank the engine, so we're going to have to start up this guy again, get this cranking over. I guess that is one annoying thing about this, is that it is so loud just to troubleshoot. But is what it is. All right, let's set this up and we'll get these all pointing up and make a mess, because I think this car is going to sit out of the shop for a little bit after this. Oh, the whole thing came. Cool. I don't know what I'm looking at. The biggest ones that we want to watch are this one and that one, because those are right beside the igniters. So we didn't even get a light off. Last time we at least got a bit of fire, got up to a couple hundred degrees. This time is nothing, but I mean, we also have leaks over on our fuel control, so I just don't know. This is why we have the banner at the beginning. This is not for education, this is for fun. Well, unfortunately, the snow pile is still there. This thing's as cold as it was when I pulled it out. A little bit stumped now. I'm gonna look back on the video. Well, we'll go through the video. Sorry, we'll go through the video from the camera watching the gauges, but it didn't look like it cracked very high, maybe 50 psi, which is kind of low, and it wasn't calling for any more. So it's either leaking, pressure's leaking somewhere, pump, fuel control, or the air fuel, I'm not sure, or compressor discharge is not sufficient. So we'll go back to the drawing board. I think we might be taking the air fuel ratio control unit off, and see if there's anything in there that's damaged or gunked up or something. But that's what makes these things expensive, I suppose. But anyways, well, we got to hear the APU run. That was great. You got to see the setup. Maybe I'll save this until we do get it running, and then we have a bit of a compilation of epic failures. Anyways, that's what keeps us going, right? That's what keeps the dream alive, the hope, I guess the motivation. So yeah, it's not going to be until next time. It's going to be, here's the next video of the next try. Alrighty, back in the shop. It's the evening after our unsuccessful runs. I reached out to a couple people, did some research. Was talking to another guy about, so what I'm chasing right now is pressure, fuel pressure. So looking back on the gauges, we were getting 40 psi maxed out at about 10-12% RPM. 40 psi maxed out on our starting manifold, well, I guess fuel manifold. I didn't think that was enough to make it atomize, because looking back also we flipped up the fuel nozzles to see what the spray pattern was, and it wasn't a mist. It was squirting fuel, but it wasn't that mist that you typically see for atomization. So I thought, okay, well maybe pressure's not right. But I was talking to another guy, he measured light-off's pressure about 20 psi. I was talking to another more famous jet engine wizard, and he was saying the J47 about 25 psi. So I think we're there. So now I'm looking at two options. One is atomizers. They're not clean, they're not flowing correctly, or they're damaged. They have been sitting out for quite some time, and that's no good. The other thing, if it's not those, which we're going to set up a redneck backyard style of test rig to see if this works. If it's not these, what else was it? Oh, every time we have tested the igniters, it's been sitting like this, or the engine has not been running. Even though we are connected to a ground power unit, so it's producing 28 volts all the time, there is a voltage drop when this massive starter engages. I'm almost wondering if the igniter doesn't have enough juice to give a proper discharge to ignite the fuel. I mean, the spray pattern I don't think is right, but the igniter would be the other thing, because from those who I've talked to, I think maxing out at 40 psi is where it needs to be. So let's take a nozzle out, or an atomizer out. We'll go over to the bench, and I'll show you just how we're going to rig this test up and see what happens. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do, here's a fuel nozzle. I'm going to get some gloves on. There's still fuel on this. And it's the evening. I'm sure Mama's not going to appreciate that. Now we have our mittens on. Okay, so here's our nozzle. It's all tightened into here. Actually, I'm gonna clamp it a little bit more, because during our test it was leaking, but I mean, it was sitting out, so I couldn't really tighten it very much. These are some weird, goofy European threads, so nothing wrong with that, but we don't have anything to match, so I've got some extra just cut lines. So my plan is just to tighten that on with this good old-fashioned compression fitting, Tighten that up. Put our coupling on, and then an air line. I've got my air line here, so right now it's dialed back to 40 psi, but because of the line and my compressor is obviously not, well, not obviously, but it's just not set up perfect, it does drop to about 25 psi. So 25 to 40 psi is kind of the range you want to be in. So what I want to do is do that. We'll put this together. I'm going to spray WD-40 down here, and then we'll hook up the air line, and we'll have a couple seconds of a spray. I just got to figure out what a good lighting or background would be to see that. So then after that, what we'll do is we'll take this top off, which you're probably not supposed to do. But we'll take this off and make sure it's cleaned out, because there's a screen in here. So we'll take this off and see if it'll focus when I can do that. The screen in there, fuel goes in, and there's a very tiny hole on the side of the thread that goes through that, and that's what's supposed to atomize it. But none of my manuals show the minimum PSI for atomization. So let me put this in the vise. We'll get this all tightened up, and then we'll do a test and see what happens. Line that up. I have no idea if this is going to work. But we have... Alright, so the top right here, we'll fill it up with some WD-40. And then I have in the vise so it's a consistent for all of them. Is that it? Alright. Okay, we're locked and loaded. Let's get in. Okay, let's see what we see. Test one. I actually haven't done this off camera, so we'll see how it goes. That definitely wasn't very smooth, was it? I'm gonna have to put a piece of paper here every time we do a new one. I have to look back on the footage. So now what I want to try doing is we'll take this apparatus off, and then I want to take this end piece out. This has 4 indentations, a tool I do not have. But if we use the grip, dad strength, maybe I can get this off without damaging it. Ah, yes. I did lie, I do have to get this out because I want to see in this way on the screen, and we'll make sure it's clear. Have you seen the people that have a vise that don't actually fasten it to a bench? Yeah, I'm not friends with them either. I'm just kidding. But it's very weird. You know what? WD-40 is so much nicer than... I was gonna say jet fuel, but that does have a ring to it as well. Well, that is intense. Let's go down a little bit. Dial her down. Okay, so you can see through. It's not that bad. I'm actually surprised that it's like they're clean. That wasn't a terrible spray to be quite honest. Let's grab another one. Let's grab another one and give it a test. Okay, so this is the other one that was beside the igniter, the other igniter. So the first one we did was beside the port side or left side igniter. This is the one on the starboard side, the right side. That'd be really handy for stuff like this, a spare engine. Let's
Trying to center the washers the best I can because they're not the right ones for this application, but if you can show me where the right ones are, I'll get them. Alrighty, here we go. 1, 2, 3. That was interesting to say the least. Let's try something. Try it one more time. I think we had an air pocket. Okay, let's move this just a little bit. I keep dropping my rag. Oh my goodness. Okay, we should get a lot more flow on this one. Here we go. Oh, did you see that first bit? This is good. I wonder if the flow rate is too high. Like, I can actually see it. You're not going to see it on camera, but I can see it over the car misting. That's what we want. I think the flow rate might be too high. Let me think about that for a sec. It's a couple days later. I've thought about this fuel nozzle flow pressure situation. Lots to digest, especially for someone who doesn't quite fully understand it. Flow, we've cleaned the nozzles. One of the 6 starting, I shouldn't call them nozzles really, they're the starting atomizers. There's 6 of them on the main jet. One is completely plugged solid. I think it's been like that since I've had it. It's gone through the ultrasonic cleaner a dozen times, and it's better. It's flowing a little bit, so I guess not plugged solid, but it's not super. So the other 5 are good. I did realize as I was pulling them apart, checking them recently, that 2 of the nozzles are different. 2 of the tips on the atomizers are different, and they belong right beside the igniter. It must have a slightly different mist pattern. It's probably safe to say that they were not directly beside the igniters as they were supposed to be, which could have contributed to the failed start last time. Another thing that I'm considering is, now that we have better flow through the atomizers, the start sequence is that much more important. What I mean by that is, there is an automated start sequence on the engine. And by the factory, it's basically as soon as you hit the start button, 2 seconds later, the igniters and fuel are supposed to come on automatically. I extended that time by 2 additional seconds, so 4 seconds from start, which doesn't sound like much, but that's 2 more seconds for the engine to get up to speed, which means there's more air blowing it away from the spark. So I've gone back and changed the program back to the 2 seconds from start, and we'll find that out when we do a full start next time. But I don't have a lot of time today, but I do want to test out another theory, and that is, are the igniters firing while cranking? Which, in other words, am I losing too much voltage from the starter, and it's not allowing the igniters to provide the spark that we need to ignite? So what I want to do in the shop, point the exhaust of this guy. I got an extension I'm going to build out. Point it out the back door. So we'll move the car forward a little bit. Point that out the back door. Crank it up. Crank the APU up, and then we're going to hit the start sequence. Igniters on, fuel off, and no supply, no nothing. And I'm going to record the spark. I'm going to record the voltage at the I guess it'd be right before the igniter box, and as well as the voltage at the starter. And if we can get a third shot, it's going to be of the batteries. So narrowing it down, there's only so many components to this thing, and we'll see what happens. And if all looks good, then I'm looking forward to the next start attempt, which hopefully will be later in the week. But anyways, let's set up. I've got to weld up an extension to put on the APU, shuffle a couple things, and then we'll see what happens. All we can do. So what I've got here is a piece of just started the welder up. A piece of 8-inch stainless duct. This upper piece, I already have a V-band sort of welded on, or it's been on there, and I had made a very mediocre at best variable nozzle for the APU before I got into the thrust engines, and it looked cool, but it didn't actually work. There's a lot of forces to overcome when you're trying to close a nozzle, and I just kind of abandoned that since we have thrust engines. So all I want to do, tack this in for now. I'm going to be doing some different things with this pipe later with the APU for snow and ice melting, but for now I just want to weld it in a couple spots so we can stick it on the back, support it, and get it at the door so I can run it in the shop. So that's what we're going to do. By the way, public service announcement. As awesome as these chargers are, I mean, it charges fast, reliably, really well. It does not have an auto voltage sensing device. So if you connect your batteries incorrectly, you're gonna cook it. Ask me how I know. I did a crank on this thing, and it seems okay, so we'll see. Let's try to get this pipe on here and through the door. What's happening? Whoa, that could have been bad. I will win. That feels nice. This isn't redneck engineering. Alright, here's the setup. I'm not worried about all this junk on here because we're not running it. We're just going to run the starter 10 seconds likely, enough to get some readings and then shut down. That's it. So we have one igniter, belongs in there. It's sitting out here so we can see the spark. Same with the other side, it's right there. This meter is measuring the voltage as it leaves the control box. I'll go around the other side to show you, before it gets to one of these igniter boxes. This one here is measuring voltage from the start contactor. Where was it? Oh, it fell off. Either that or I never put it on. Right here. Yeah, I likely bumped it off. Okay, so it's measuring, power comes in from the start current battery here, and this goes out to the starter. Contact in here closes, that gets energized. We're off of our terminal in there for the spark, and then all our bonds or grounds are back behind the control panel. Again, we still have our FOD screen in place. We're not getting too much RPM. When I start, it's going to be master on, ignition on, start. Everything else is off, off, fuel off. Fuel valves are all off. Let me turn this off now. And yeah, we'll be recording from up here. So
that'll be recording all of our stuff. Anyways, yeah, so I want to see what the spark looks like. We're still connected 24 volt. I'm going to jump the relay so that we can see the spark on the camera to see if there's any visual difference. Well, that was one side. Here's the other side. Sounds terrifying. That's it. Let's kill our power, review the footage on this guy, and see if we think spark is a contributing factor. I did see, so the lowest voltage was 18 volts DC. As soon as that starter, so there's a resistor that starts before the actual starter, and that's just to get things rolling. And then that's on for 2 seconds, and then the main starter kicks in. Main starter kicks in, sorry. So 18 volts, and then it climbed. And as soon as, well, I guess 18 volts, 2 seconds, then it was about 20 when the igniters kicked on, and they came on no problem. So a low voltage issue with the igniters, I'm going to rule out because we just did, this is the first time I've ever done a cranking attempt test while visually watching the igniter. So there is a chance that now, so pressure and flow, I'm definitely not an expert, but this is how I understand it. Pressure is obtained or rises based on of course, the flow coming in, but the resistance going out. Everyone uses the garden hose example, right? You put your thumb under the garden hose, it shoots farther, pressure increases because you've got a smaller opening. I'm wondering, and again, I've had theories for this whole thing and none of them have panned out, but maybe this one will. So all of these starting atomizers were dirty. I know that. I've taken them all apart only recently. So my theory or thought is that there was an insufficient amount of fuel. It was blocked so much that the pressure rose because the opening was actually smaller than what is standard for this. So the pressure went up, meaning that the jet nozzle of fuel was able to overcome the added wind from my delayed start. Stay with me, hopefully that makes sense. Now that they're clean, more fuel is able to flow, pressure's lower, so it's easier to blow away from the wind of the compressor. I mean, we'll put that to the test when we go to do our next start. Basically, short of that, if it still failed to light off, because the lighting off part was progressive, so perhaps more and more, it was temperature related too, because the temperature went down, but it wasn't, not an extreme temperature, it was a fall, like single digit Celsius, -10, you know, in that range, so nothing crazy, but it was progressively getting worse and worse to start, until now there's just no light off. So we know we have a bummed atomizer. One's no good, but I think it's been no good for a while. I do have a new set, hopefully coming soon. A new set of atomizers. And in the meantime, we'll try to run these 5. Like I said, I do have the starting ones in the correct locations. Should this fail again, it might be down to the fuel control. Maybe somebody can chime in with suggestions.
We've gone through everything, right? Like I said, everything, once it lights, once it gets to the main fuel circuit, so again, there's a starting circuit or manifold, and there's a secondary, so the main running manifold. Once that spring opens that valve with enough pressure to run the main line, it goes. It takes off and it runs no problem. It runs all the way to max RPM. It's been a starting issue the past couple of months here. So I do know that we did send some bad fuel through it, dirty, contaminated, even though it went through 3 filters. We did send some bad fuel through it. So I've previously torn apart the high pressure pump, the axial piston pump. I've torn halfway apart the air fuel ratio controller and the fuel flow control unit to a point where I felt comfortable I could put it back together and it still works. I have a feeling that if this doesn't work, it's in one of those other 3 components. I've swapped out the solenoid for the start, thinking that maybe it was leaking or not regulating the pressure correctly, but it's perfect. Tested that. So I'm rambling now. I'm gonna call this the end of today, and then hopefully later in the week we'll have some time, get the car out. I'm actually not gonna send it out back. I'm just gonna flip it around, send the tail out the shop door, and because all we're doing is starting. If it can start no problem, then I'll wheel it out back and we'll get rid of that snow mound. But for now, I think we'll just clean up. That tailpipe is shockingly hot for only running 4 minutes. So I'm gonna let that cool before I unbolt it, take it off, and burn myself. And we'll just get everything else squared away. Okay, we'll catch you soon. Well, we're here set up for a hopefully a fire off attempt. We're sitting at the edge of the shop, exhaust nozzles or exhaust on both of these pointing outside. I don't feel like taking it all the way around back, chaining it down in the snow, whatever. We're just trying to start it. We're not revving it up. We just want to start it, get it to fire, light off, and go to idle, and that's it. So like I was saying, all we're looking to do is get a light off, up to idle, and that's it. I might bump the throttle just a little bit to see reaction, but that's it. We're not doing a full power run. Well, where do we go from here? I almost want to take the igniter out, put a torch down there, and just to get it to light off. Hold on, I got one more stupid idea. Coming out of here actually looked pretty good, to be honest. It did look like it was misting and atomizing like we wanted to. Obviously going through the turbine, it's pooled up a little bit. But I could see that mist coming out. So that's good. Now why is it igniting?
I know there's some guys that use an acetylene conversion, so there's acetylene gas with a small spark on it to ignite that. A lot of guys use something like that for an afterburner, but I almost want to run it again, stick a torch down here to see what happens, but I'm kind of scared. So this whole segment, this whole thing is getting a little bit long, so I think what I'm going to do is we'll end it here. I'm either going to I'm going to review the footage. I'm either going to, based on that mist that eventually came out, I think we did work out some air in the system. I think what we'll do is review that. If we think we can just upgrade the igniter system, we'll do that. Otherwise, we're going to take apart some fuel control components. I'll show you. These guys: fuel control, air fuel ratio control unit. This guy, we've got our throttle. This is actually the what's it called? This is the fuel shutoff, and it actually, I got a sticky spot. I got a spot when I'm trying to open it. It's getting hung up pretty good, so I kind of want to take this apart anyways. So all the fuel comes up into here first, and then this basically tells the engine how much I'm allowed to have. So yeah, let's think about that, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, thanks for sticking with me on it, and we will get this thing running again soon, and hopefully once we get this running, we can start our next project. So stay tuned. Until next time, thanks for watching.